We are live.
All right. Well,
All
welcome
right.
to ESTA Live, powered by the Education Committee. The mission of the Esports Trade Association is to unify, serve, and ethically advance the business interests and sustainability of the esports industry. Today, we'll be discussing what's next in Scholastic Esports. We want to first invite you to say hello in the comments and let us know where you're from and who you are. One of the best things about these LinkedIn live sessions is you get to connect with other people who have the same interests as you. So please do not be shy. Put your name in there, put why you're here, put your contact information if you hear something you want to hear more about. I am April Welch, Associate Vice President for Strategic Initiatives at the Illinois Institute of Technology. And I'm also the Director of Esports and the Digital Arts Center here at IIT. In addition to that, I am the Education Committee Chair for the Esports Trade Association. And I'm super excited to be joined by Abhi Singh of Stride Esports, who is also an awesome R6 player, which he'll tell you about later, and one of our graduates and a proud alumni, and Megan Van Peeten, who is our founder. And I think everyone on this call has probably known her, but I'm going to ask her to do an introduction again. And just for the new people here, let us know why she started what she did and what she's looking forward to. So, shall we start with you, Megan?
Thank you, April. I'm jumping in and out. I'm not sure if you can see me or not at the moment, so I apologize for the connection. But it's great to be here. Thank you for hosting this live from the Education Committee, and it's great to have you as well, Abby, to learn a little bit more about what's going on with Stride Esports. We're just so happy to have you both today. So thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the introductions. I appreciate it.
And this is fantastic. I'm looking at the chat right now. We've got Al Williams, we got Mitchell Tepper, we got Terry Coleman. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited about today. I think the future of the growth of esports, a lot of that structure is going to come from the collegiate scene and what we do in scholastic spaces like high schools and middle schools. So I'm very excited to have Avi introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about his journey in the esports industry and as both a player and as a professional.
Amazing. Yes, of course. I'm happy to share. First of all, I'm really honored here to be as a guest speaker for ESTA. And what April was just talking about, obviously, I was a student at Illinois Tech. I graduated in 2019, December. And I played Rainbow Six Siege back then. And then we had a great time in terms of at Illinois Tech, esports is driven by students. So it's a fully student community. So in terms like students run the esports organization, also tournaments, and they do the roster management and all the cool stuff related with esports themselves. So at Illinois Tech was my first ever experience with esports face to face, and I had an amazing experience overall, learning about what are the skills that you can groomed with esports, what are other things in terms of broadcast, in terms of production. There are so many tech careers related with esports. It's not just that you have to cut to be a professional gamer. A lot of people get scared off by the competitive nature of esports, but there's so much just related with esports in terms of you can brush up your super critical corporate skills that are necessary for 21st century, as such communication, teamwork, critical thinking, and all the good stuff. And kids nowadays, when they are on their iPads, they don't even realize that they're learning all these skills. Grouping up with in small groups or bigger groups, they come together online and play video games. And it's not just about simply playing video games, but also just kind of escaping the reality for a little bit, where they're always feeling overwhelmed because of either the assignments, homeworks, tests, quizzes. So I think it's a perfect escape from reality in a metaverse where kids can come in together and collaborate and be creative together. So similarly, I had an experience with esports where I developed a lot of skills, not just because I love to play video games, but then I started realizing that it's actually helping me, in terms of conversation, in terms of critical thinking, and haven't been put into super pressureful situations, like we were in the final games and we're like, oh my God, this is so stressful. There's thousands of people watching us. You got to do it better for your team and everyone watching you. So overall, it's helped me build a better person in terms of navigating through the stressful situations, and overall also helping me develop super critical skills that are necessary for the 21st century.
Thank you so much, Albie. I think you hit on a really key point in terms of learning how to manage your stress. That's such a fundamental skill for life. And I know we've got at Illinois Tech 100 competitive esports gamers. We've got over 1,100 in our Discord. We play 13 different titles, and all of them have learned how to handle stress. And it's almost like it's simulated stress. It's not stress that means you're going to be, you're not going to make the rent or the kids are not going to be fed. But it's stress nonetheless when you put your life and your time and your energy into a game, and you don't want to let your fellow players down, and you want to be that clutch guy. It's a lot to hold, especially for young folks. And I think one of the things that esports teaches people people often sleep on is they teach them how to lose. They teach people how to lose and how to get back up and how to learn again and how to not take a punch hard, but take a punch and bounce back.
Yeah, I think you nailed that in the head for sure. I personally, as a collegiate esports player, I had a lot of times where we were just on a hot losing streak. But I was like, you know what? Just believe in your team, believe in your skills. We're here more so to have fun. If win comes our way, we'll celebrate it. If not, we just got to keep going and enjoying the whole competitive environment around esports. And that's what kind of I learned from like my collegiate scene of esports. And then further after that, after I graduated, I got with Stride Esports, where we're doing amazing stuff with giving kids the chances to learn esports, compete in esports, and also learn other skills from esports. So we were helping kids learn coding, game design skills, how to create music and landscape art. So over the summer, we did a lot of cool stuff. And I was really surprised as to how creative kids are when they are given these tools like Minecraft Education Edition or say Fortnite Creative. Like I saw some amazing builds because we do Minecraft build challenges on a weekly basis every Wednesday, and kids submit their competition builds. And when I look at this, I was like, really, is this an 8-year-old kid drawing a Titanic out of Minecraft? That is incredible. And it's just I just feel like at this point it's just super necessary for kids to kind of gain that early stages of interest as to what they want to pursue when they go in like a higher education setting. So esports is a perfect blend of having fun and also learning these creative and critical skills that could help them pursue a good tech career or a production career or anything they would want to do related to esports.
Thank you so much. And Megan, I think that probably resonates with you in your role, bringing different companies together that actually offer that opportunity to learn and grow through esports, connecting the Scholastic side with the business side.
Yeah, it's amazing. And one of the things I'm just wondering, so Abby, for those of you that don't know, are you still working out of IIT? Could you share a little bit about how Stride has come along?
Yes,
For people
of
that might
course.
not know.
So yes, when I was a full-time student at IIT, I was, practicing 10 hours a day and putting in a lot of time towards our collegiate esports. After I graduated, I got an amazing offer through Stride Esports as to like they saw my background in terms of collegiate setting, in terms of like how to set up teams, events, and everything. So that is when Stride Esports brought me on and told me, hey, we totally see that kids have high dropout rates, and the engagement and retention for students is overall low with the conventional way of studies. We want you to get in there and kind of help us with gamifying education and bringing the best out of the kids by providing them these tools that they can use to kind of have their creativity come out, or just like overall a better tool for engagement and retention. And it exactly worked that way. First I was like, I don't know how video games can actually encourage students to study better, but it turns out that students perform better when they're playing video games, obviously in moderation. I wouldn't recommend anyone playing like me. I was playing 10 hours a day, But obviously, if used in moderation, this can be a great escape from reality, as I was talking about earlier, but also in terms of developing skills and also getting to know people. With COVID, we all learned that, you can just go out and play, pick up basketball or pick up soccer. That is where esports started booming, where, people started connecting up in an online setting, and they would be like, hey, want to be my friend? I play this game. And that is where the community aspect started building up. So esports overall has a lot of aspects to it. And exactly what Stride is trying to achieve right now is build a community around esports where kids come in and compete. Obviously, competitive nature of esports is always going to be there, but it's more than that. They come in together, build a community, help each other, uh, learn new skills, and also more top of that, we want to ensure everyone's safety in terms of an online virtual environment, because kids are online all the time. So we want to ensure them and provide them a safe and online environment where they can connect up with thousands of other people with similar interests, just sitting at the ease of their couch.
That's fantastic, Avi. Thank you so much. And I wholeheartedly agree. Our esports, the students in the center right behind me are learning how to run LANs on their own, how to negotiate with contractors, how to negotiate for space on campus, how to really step into those managerial roles. It's such an important lesson, and it's such a boon to have kids know that they have this competency before they go out into the regular work world. And then it shows that, this is not much different than what I was doing when I was managing the club. I've got experience doing this. And I think that's another place that, as people, administrators in the scholastic space, we need to make sure that we give our students an opportunity to fail and try again and get up and own it. So don't do their job for them. let
It
them
is.
let them let them take the reins and take the lead.
Yes. It's
I'd
a
like to
bigger
say welcome.
opportunity. Like I'm going to make it sound simple, but boy, when I was in high school or college, we weren't able to, run the library lab. We weren't able to get in there and create the community around the library, if you will. I oftentimes compare the gaming centers to where we used to collaborate, which was the library simply. So being that this is fully run by students from A to Z is just so amazing, and that's the way that colleges are doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's more so just because, esports has that attention of all the high schooler, middle schooler, collegiate players. Esports got that's the most enticing thing for them. Anything related to video game, I'm all about it. That type of attitude, and that's what kind of encourages them to, develop this community and also run this organization by themselves, just because this is something that interests them. And also this also helps them have that curiosity all the time as to how to do this, and which helps them obviously learn a lot in terms of, they can do a simple Google search about how to set up a LAN tournament, and they do understand, yes, they're doing it for a fun time with their friends, they're going to have a amazing LAN gaming night, but also behind the scenes what they're learning are the tech aspects of it. What is a LAN? How does a LAN work? How do you connect computers on a LAN network, which further can relate to a future career path in terms of working as an IT help desk, or working in IT support, which every company needs nowadays, because computers and laptops are everywhere.
Absolutely. And I see we've got more folks joining us. Lindsay from DC, welcome. Adam, welcome. We're really excited to have, and Peyton from Dallas. I think that one of the things that I'm really excited about the Scholastic Esports program is just the camaraderie. There's not this tension. There's a willingness to help each other. There's
Yeah.
our friends at UCI Irvine have, I think they've talked to everybody in the nation that has an esports program. There's a fantastic sense of togetherness and sense of just wanting to make spaces that the students can have a free reign to play and to compete and to earn, and then connecting that to actual technical skills is the next step. And I think that's also our responsibility as specifically collegiate esports programs, partnerships with Unreal Engine and others, Unity, and giving people the tools to create apps on their own, Steam accounts, that sort of thing. Avi, would you like to speak to that a bit
Yeah,
on
of course.
technical?
Yeah, more so on the technical side, a lot of that work right now is being done by the students on the Discord side of it to automate things. So students have started creating these Discord bots using JavaScript language, and they basically automate everything in terms of custom lobby code distribution, keeping a track of scores, keeping a track of leaderboards, and that's just more so because they don't like coding, but they like the video game. So to make that video game more accessible and more easier, they gotta learn coding. And if that is what it takes, they're gonna go learn coding. However, even if coding does not excites them about it. So a lot of work like that, the others. So that's like the whole technical side of it in terms of learning coding and how to automate these processes of keeping scores, keeping leaderboards, maintaining your game stats, and all that stuff is already in place. But are also more than that, kids are learning about the production side of it as to how to be a streamer. They get on there, put on their headset with a mic, and they're enjoying the game. They're just making it seem like a real sporting event as to how commentators are talking about two teams battling against each other. They make it a full show. It's amazing to watch Twitch streams just simply being like the game sounds to now being actual like commentators running the show and having it like a full production TV show running just in gaming. So a lot of skills, definitely, kids are moving towards making esports a full and full package. So that just is not a technical or non-technical. It's more so that includes everything. So it's got a lot of important pieces like marketing, broadcast, production, and obviously the technical side of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Avi. And I can quote Doc Haskell from Boise State. He jokingly says he's got a production TV studio with an esports team attached. um,
That's
but
cool.
yeah,
That's a great quote.
absolutely. And Megan, would you like to add to what Avi said about the technical journey for kids who are actually being almost drawn in with esports? It's not that we made and switch them, but I think that when we make it apparent that having some technical skills really improves your game, and it gives you a path for profitability, and it gives you
Sure.
the opportunity to build out your your persona online. We've got students at Illinois Tech who've paid off their student loans because they nailed their Twitch, they nailed their YouTube screen, they nailed their Patreon. They've got, they know how to run a business around promoting themselves and promoting their gameplay in a way that is, that meshes with their life and what they care about.
I just have always had a passion for business. When I was very young, under 10 years old, I wanted to be a businesswoman for Halloween as Halloween is approaching. And that's just so funny. My mom was like, what do I do with her? What does she wear for Halloween to be a businesswoman? So I just love business. What I am seeing more too is students taking on their brand on LinkedIn. And that is so cool. As I speak around at different classes about, what an association is for the trade you're in, it's just delightful to see the show of hands of students that are creating their brand for that. It was great. It's always delightful. It's more than half of the class now. And now I'm only speaking to the Chicago universities, which are doing very well. For the most part, I'm getting around the city, but I am getting some national invitations, and that's one of the first questions I ask is, "Are you on LinkedIn?" Because that's where the business leaders and influencers are. So I'm delighted to hear that. And I find it a very, well, here we are on LinkedIn. Thank you, LinkedIn. It's a wonderful collaborative, supportive community, for growing your business and finding support and some of the help and the resources that you need. And there are technological classes that you can take right here on LinkedIn. So I'm a huge advocate, and I'm not paid to say that. The other thing I love to see for students is them to really consider their brand as far as their dream sponsorship. For example, I love VR tennis, and I learned about it at IIT and played it for the first time there. I like to move and get exercise through my day, and that's just a real fit for me. So if I was going to go into working with VR tennis, maybe I would consider my most familiar brand, which is Wilson. My first tennis racket, and I love tennis, was a Wilson racket. And I remember going to the sporting store and getting it. So those bring really good personal messaging for me, personal experience. So that's an example of what's the brand that you would want, versus maybe I would want a Gatorade as a brand. Maybe I like drinking Gatorade when I'm playing tennis. So that's another question I love to do. I love to ask a class, what's your brand? What's your dream brand? So we can start creating um, opportunity. Maybe starting to follow the CEO of Wilson, maybe following the stock market of their company, and just like expanding your view into a 360 degree, and understand that there is no ceiling. The world is your oyster. And just to be unstoppable. So those are just a couple of things that I love sharing as the association for this industry of esports. Those are just a couple of tidbits that
Fantastic.
are some of my favorite shares.
Thank you, Megan. That's fantastic. We've got a question in the chat, actually, which it's a great question. It's on one of them on our list to talk about spaces and collegiate esports spaces and designing collegiate esports spaces or scholastic esports spaces. Terry Coleman asks, what advice would you give when creating and designing an esports space? And I think, Abby, I'm going to let you take that first, and then I'll follow up, and then Megan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, feel free to chime in where I miss out. But according to me, when creating an esports space, I definitely feel like amazing digital lights and a lot of colorful lights are the two things when you are starting to put an esports space together. Needless to say that we would need something like a production room or something that would project the streams. So a lot of displays, a lot of LED lights with the regular RGB colors, because that is what gamers love. And when it comes to designing the space as to how you're going to set it up, usually in a esports arena setup, it's like 5v5, because usually the games are 5 versus 5s. So it's like 5 and 5 PCs not facing each other so that they can't really see each other's screens. So just to be mindful of that, one thing is having 5 PCs lined up on one side and the 5 PCs lined up on the other side, where none of them can see each other's screen, is the biggest part of it that goes into it. So it could be like a semicircular design and then two semicircles making a first full circle for two different teams, along with a lot of screens and colors, is how I envision a great esports space.
Fantastic.
So
And then,
specific. I mean, that it's going to be so interesting. Our three different opinions.
yeah.
I hope you don't take mine, April.
So for me, one of the things, and we're right in front of the esports space that I designed with my students in 2018, and one of the biggest hurdles is going to be political. To be honest with you, if you're in any sort of university sitting or if you're in a public school, you got to navigate how you present what you want to accomplish. So you can't present the fact that you want people to be able to play Fortnite. You have to present that you want people to come together, that you want to build community, that you want to provide a safe space, that you want to make a space for people to open up and share when they wouldn't share otherwise. So you have to definitely lean into the mental health side of why you need these spaces on campus. And they really do. I mean, there's such stress relief. They're a home away from home. Our space is always full. Even Abby came to visit us 9 in the morning. There are people flowing in.
Uh-huh.
The other
And
thing you want to make sure of is when you're building your case for why you need the space, make sure that it fits the needs of your particular environment. So we're a relatively small school. So I didn't need to go in and ask for $93,000 workstations. We've got make sure what you ask for matches the gaming community in your space. So if you've got, so do that, find out who they are. If you're an administrator who just happens not to be a gamer, that doesn't mean you can't contribute. That just means you need to talk to the gamers who are there, find out what tournaments they're playing in, find out what games they're playing, find out what hours they play, find out how many of them they are, identify who the leaders are. And I would highly recommend having like student leaders as your point. Like nothing you do should be done in isolation from the students. Make sure that they know what you're trying to accomplish and have them at the table. I brought our students to all of the investor meetings. I brought them to the president's meeting. So I brought our students in with us when we made the case for our space. Then after that, you want to make sure that you find someplace visible on your campus or visible in your school so that you can continually raise money for your center. This is not like a baseball field where you buy it once and you got a field. Every 3 to 4 years, you're going to need to put another, you're going to need to refresh whatever number of PCs you got in the first place. You're going to need to refresh them every 3 to 4 years. So be sure to plan for that. Other unexpected costs you might need to plan for are the cost of air conditioning, the cost of networking, the cost of making sure your power grid is that you don't bring the lights down in whatever building you chose.
I see.
And then to Abby's point, you want to make sure that you make it look like an esports space. Don't make it look like a CS lab that it just
Mhm.
happens that this is where we play esports. Make sure there's lighting, there's like behind us, you see there's signage. Make sure that it's something that it's you're in a different space now. I would definitely, and I could talk on and on and on about
Mhm.
spaces, but if furniture dealer, again, make sure your desks are strong enough to hold the $3,000 machine. Make sure, as Abby said, that's really important for people who don't play. Often position the machines where it's easy to cheat, and people tend to not overlook that. We
Yeah.
did a build with a game called the Warrior Gamer Foundation, and one of the things we had to consider were that people who would be gaming are coming through some emotional issues. So being close to someone else is really stressful for them. So in that particular situation, you put the PCs farther apart than you normally would, and you don't put them in a corner, because when they're in a corner it feels claustrophobic. So just be cognizant of who your audience is, how many they are, when they game, what they're going to be doing. And I'll hand it off to Megan now, because I could go on and on and on this.
You can. And you're a tough act to follow there, Professor Welch. Here's what I'll say. I've seen several gaming centers, and I do think, April, what you've done, you really have not missed the mark. Um, I've physically have been there. First of all, IIT is just a beautiful space, and we've come such a long way. So I'll first say this: I've been around AV and IT long enough to know that it used to be literally put in like closets, basements, under stairs. Literally, you would be like, I don't see the AV department, where I have no idea. And they'll be like, under the stairs. And I'm like, oh, literally under the stairs. So we've come a long way in the whole AV department. April and the students at IIT have done such a great job. I love the lighting. You can step right outside of the gaming center, and where April's sitting right now, where it's floor to ceiling lights. She's in a corridor. If I come looking for her, there's activity there. We could sit around the windows. There's seating to be outside to wait to go in. Because sometimes when you walk in, you're welcomed nicely, always at April's, with somebody right there at a desk. Hi, welcome. And they might say, be quiet because there's something going on. They're filming or they're competing or there's something. So you're notified right away to come or not. Most of it, and the welcome is always friendly with one of her students that are managing the center. So I liked that aspect, and then I did like the placement of the room and the size of the room. We could walk in there, and April and I once set up a production filming right there, being with the students talking about the program. Now, also as I walked down that corridor to get to the gaming center, first of all, it reminded me of the corner suite. I was saying, April, how in the heck did you get this space? And she said, it took a long time, but she did. As we walked past the broadcasting radio station, I thought that was a really smart idea as far as layout. Now, I'm no architect, but being right next to the broadcasting and radio station felt just very like a natural, perfect spot for me. There was no accident that this turned out to be the corner spot for what, is a very hot industry. So, I just feel like April, got all the boxes checked and crossed. The other thing I do like too is that where April's sitting right now, she could step outside and get some fresh air and stretch and stand up. I'm all about, the ergonomics. I can remember when I was in college, I needed help with my math. First of all, I did all my homework on campus in community. So I love community. So if I was a student this very minute, I would be in community somewhere, probably by April, to be quite frank. It's where I would be. And I remember needing the math support, but not wanting to hang out in the math center. It was a desk that was just with a couple in the center of some teachers' offices, so we didn't have a Professor Welch there, saying the need for math support. So I'd have to go up there, sit at that desk by myself where there wasn't really a lot of energy, wait for a teacher to kind of walk by because I needed help. So you could see this bustling location, and it's like, good for you, April. I always like to call you Professor Welch, but it's good for you. And by the way, like if we ask her, Abby, my guess is she's already got the next plan for 2025 there. And it's probably a whole building of April.
Yeah, she's already been working on it behind the scenes. So,
and I think that I love also the point that you say, keep investing, bring the community with you, get everybody at the table. Because the truth is too, baseball fields need updating, not like a gaming center, but it's all about what you put into it is what you'll get out of it. Yeah. And April puts her, a lot of tender love and care into her projects, and there's the result. So that's what I would say is to our furniture dealer, Terry. Yeah. I would go visit a couple of gaming centers and check it out yourself as well, because obviously there's far more that you'll see when you fully experience 3 to 5 different gaming centers. But what a model! And then I would also ask Abby and April, with the exception of IIT, what are some of the other examples you guys like that we can have Terry go visit if you want to make that suggestion?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. One of the best things, and our kids are they're prepping for an Overwatch party right now. So I think being cognizant of what's really going on. Like I took a group to see the LCS at the United Center. So if you're thinking about space, you're going to want space for not events on that particular scale, but space for finals.
Yeah.
That's a different type of space than your space for your practice runs. Or if you're doing it like UCI Irvine, they have a space that is open for people to come in and just casually play. They've got like 60 workstations for a very big community that they're serving. So think about your club sport, your casual gamers, and then the people who are playing varsity on your team. They all have different needs. So as you design for people, make sure you're designing to hit those needs. And I think, like you said, Megan, to definitely go visit UC Irvine. Definitely go visit. Abby can give you a whole big list.
Yeah, my
Definitely,
personal.
Isaiah, my current esports coordinator came from ISU, where he and another group of students raised $5.9 million for a new space, and I think that's so exciting. And their approach was to revamp an existing space. So they took their bowling alley and their rec center, and I don't know when it's going to open. Huh?
It should be opening this semester or next semester.
There you go. So we're hopefully we'll beat them with something cooler here. But it's important to match your space and your choices around, even all the way down to furniture and location and all of that. Match it to a particular need, so that you're not just building and then fitting the kids into whatever you happen to build.
Yeah, another comment I want to add there when we're talking about setting up an esports space is I feel like nothing in an esports room or esports arena, whatever you want to call it, should not be set in stone in terms like everything should be adjustable and everything could be moved around in terms of different events and different games have different needs. So it's kind of like some tournaments are a 5v5 format or some are 3 versus 3. So all the furniture should be movable along with adjustable in height and all that good stuff. So I think that's important. And then, when we were talking about lighting earlier, I think lighting is essential. It has to be dark, but it also has to be well lit. So it gotta be that one sweet spot where there is not a lot of glare on the player's PC screen, but also they have enough light to like actually look at their keyboard and what else is going on in the room. So I think just positioning your monitor screens at the right sweet spot where there's not a lot of glare on the screen is another super important essential aspect to it.
Thank you so much. Do we have another question in the chat? We've got time for one more. Otherwise, I'm going to ask my question. No, I don't see one. I hope we covered what you were asking about, Terry. So my question for you, Avi, is where do you see the future of Scholastic Esports going? What are you excited about? What makes you wake up happy? And then Megan, you can answer it next, and I'll close out with it.
Yes. So how I envision the future of Scholastic Esports is kind of moving away from the conventional route of studies. So having a hybrid environment where kids are learning some things through a game and something through the conventional way of studies from the books. Because I totally understand, like at this point for how deep rooted the educational system is, we cannot just take out all the books and all the learning materials that have existed for about like thousands of years now. So how I see it going forward, and which has already started happening, and at Stride Esports specifically, we actually design some Minecraft worlds for kids to learn about solar systems, biomes, and everything. So instead of learning all those 12 lessons from the book, how we kind of broke their whole semester down was like you'll be learning 4 lessons from a Minecraft challenge and Minecraft worlds, and the rest 8 from the conventional way of studies. So going forward, how I kind of envision this is kind of following a hybrid way approach towards studies where you're learning a few things or few aspects from games that could be just simple skills like teamwork, communication, or just helping kids to get to know each other better in an online setting, or adding more activities for them to do after school hours, because like obviously not everyone's interested in in conventional sports, not everyone wants to go to the gym and work out. Some people like to stay home and want to just like still make friends and have the community building aspect to it. So going forward, a hybrid education system with a ton of challenges and a lot of extracurricular activities that kids can do, which will result in a higher engagement and retention for every school, because they just have so much to offer and so many fun more activities to do, which are obviously tied down with incentives, because as a kid, who doesn't love prizes? So when they have these competition Minecraft build challenges, or say creating music challenges, Favicon, a Comic Con party, and stuff like that, where they put on costumes and all that stuff. So it's a lot more fun, and a fun learning environment where they're not just learning, they're having fun, and they're also earning some way or the other in terms of either prizes or in terms of like cash prizes, where there are a ton of tournaments that are offered for cash prizes and all that stuff. So I see that as a more so having fun, because a lot of kids wake up and are like, it's Monday again, I gotta go to school. So a lot of people are still in the same boat, who do not look forward to school, but kind of adding and gamifying the education overall would help a student wake up and look forward to, like, okay, we're about to do a Minecraft solar system lesson today in class. I'm super excited to see how this works out. And overall, their curiosity would kind of go high and high as they kind of move up the ladder of working with technology and being tech smart in a very young ages, which is super necessary, because like now everything is all about online banking, online shopping, online this and online that. So this is the right place for them to start developing their early interest and be a master by the time they get to college, or once they graduate college and they have a strong foundation they can build off of.
Thank you, Avi. That's fantastic. And I see in the chat, Randy Tritz tells us that ISU opens in 2 weeks. Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Congratulations.
We'll be cheering for you. That's absolutely wonderful.
Field trip.
Yes. Megan, would you care to take that question?
Sure. So, what the future of Scholastic Esports is, that's a great, that's very wide range. One of my passions is, and I have lived by this for decades, is I've had interns come to me 20 years ago. Can I have more hours? I could postpone school for money. Never did that. No way. No intern works for me unless they're doing well in school, and staying in school. So I'm a huge advocate. I appreciate everything Abby was saying about the hybrid experience. That is a no-brainer. Please stay in college, go to college, have the anchor of the institution that will follow you for the rest of your life, and create the hybrid experience that Abby is speaking about, even if it might not be created with you or for you by your current professor. You can go to your professor and say, could we take this challenge on? Could we gamify this course? Would you consider me being an assistant of yours for the next class so I can bring this to you? So my number one is, oh my God, register for college. Don't even consider not going. I'm just not in that conversation. I'm in the conversation of the hybrid model, and help the professor. I was a professor's assistant, and boy, it was one of the best things I've ever done. If the professor isn't doing it, go to them and help them. And I'm also here, thankfully invited by Professor Welch. I'm here to talk about older traditions that have worked. The medical American Medical Association, the Bar Association. They get in early with students to show them the benefits of business and the basics of business and universities, and more businesses are seeing that. So an example, how can you create your dream brand, reach out to a CEO, or follow them, or follow who follows them in the company, and bring a real project to your classroom, talk to your professor. There's a lot of structure around brands wanting to work with students, especially right here at IIT. They have an innovation center. Is it the innovation center or the lab? April, what's it called? A
Yeah,
Kaplan?
Kaplan, yeah, Institute.
The Kaplan Institute. So, stay in the foundation of the anchor of education. Create the hybrid experience if it's not being created. Sit at the table. You're invited. Pull up a chair if there's not one. Stand at the table. It doesn't matter. Stay in school. Create the hybrid environment. Don't wait for someone to do it for you, and fall in love with learning, because it's the key to so much life experience. It's my secret to a joyful life. There should be minutes every day that you can bring your brilliance in any way, at any age, coming from any background. Your individuality is so important, and your unique stamp on this world is important. So that would be my answer to the future of
Oh, that's
Scholastic.
fantastic. That's fantastic, Megan. I think you hit on it. Joyfulness is the key. At the end of the day, our goal is for all the students to have a joyful experience, for these to be the best 4 years of their life,
Yes.
for them to connect with people their same age that are doing their that are competing on a field that is endless. The digital space is absolutely endless, and their skills that they're developing are not only making them better at the game, they're making better students, better employees, better entrepreneurs, better leaders, better communicators. They think faster than the rest of us. They move faster than the rest of us. They can solve. I think that's the future. Is once people doing research traditionally realize how fast and how creative the esports community is, they will continue to put real research questions to them through games, through gaming. There's a company in Chicago called Level X, where Sam is the founder, and he's teaching doctors through video games how to perform these complex procedures. I think the future is collaborative, in terms of universities working together with the community around them to help stem the schools that are around them, to help stem them up, basically. Because kids are naturally interested in gaming, but they'll understand why STEM is connected if you add it together. I think people get the opportunity to reach out to different companies, like our sponsors are LG and SHI. They've been UGC. They've been fantastic. We're doing an event with Microsoft and Verizon on October 25th, to bring companies and schools together to show that intersection of digital labor and esports and independence and fun, like bringing all of that artistic impotence and joy in one room. It's just fantastic to see, and I think the more people stand up to actually do what they feel, Avi wasn't playing 10 hours a day because somebody made him. He was
right.
playing 10 hours a day because he's competitive, and he knows the joy of getting better, and the joy of being an anchor on your team, and the joy of competing. All of those same psychological goals, and that drive that comes from being a real athlete. These guys are athletes all around me. All those benefits are still there with esports. So I think, as more and more of us in higher ed and in high school talk about it, and just keep at it. You may get one no or two no's or 10 no's, but keep at it until you get your programs funded. Because once you get one domino to fall, more and more and more will come, and more funding opportunities are coming, and we're able to help each other now in whole new different ways. So my kids are all here, so I'm gonna wrap it up, but I wanted to say thank you to everybody here, and thank you, Avi, for being a fantastic guest. Thank you, Megan, for starting this wonderful organization, and thank you to everybody in the chat. Thank you, Nick Turner, for your support. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Megan, check out our websites all around, and definitely, if you are interested in starting an esports program, go visit programs that are already up. You'll find people are eager to talk to you and really willing to help. And
Mhm.
I know I was helped getting ours up, and I'm looking forward to going to the next level with Abby and Stride Esports. And fingers crossed we get the Commissioner's Cup and we can all
Yeah,
come together next
I'm
year.
excited. We're definitely going to put it together. And I think
All
overall,
right.
April,
Thanks,
you,
everyone.
yeah.
Until that comes out, and we're going to get some games going.
Thank you, Abby.